So we are lucky here at OOIDA headquarters in that twice a year, the association's board members come in from all parts of the United States and Canada. We should mention that,
Yes, of course,
Ashley.
can't forget Canada.
To check in and talk about the direction the association is taking. And since they're already here and already in a talking mood, hopefully, we thought, why not get them into Studio A to chat? And that's what we're doing. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
If we could just begin, if you could just introduce yourself. We'll go around the table a little bit. Tell us, where you're from, how long you've been on the OOIDA board, whatever you want to tell us about yourselves. And Mike, we can start with you.
Okay. My name is Mike Nichols. I'm an alternate board member. I've been here now. This is my second meeting since the election. And I'm from Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. I'm a leased operator. Been in the business now for about 35 years, both driving and support positions, logistics, dispatch.
And what do you typically haul?
Pneumatic. I pull a pneumatic tank, so it's food grade. We haul flour, sugar.
Keeping busy.
Corn. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure. Harry, we've talked to you before on the show, so you
Good
still
to be
need to
back.
introduce yourself, though.
Good to be back.
Welcome to be back. Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My legal name's Harrison Smith, but everybody calls me Harry. I'm 37 years old. I've been trucking my whole life, and I'm serving my first term as a director here at OOIDA. I was formerly an alternate, and it's a privilege and an honor to have this ability and opportunity to be here and serve. And I am a company driver in a family trucking business based in Bountiful, Utah, just outside of Salt Lake City. Hopefully my siblings and me one day can buy my parents out of it and be a business owner. But our bread and butter is hauling sand and gravel, and I enjoy specialized transportation, heavy haul, overdimensional stuff that requires a permit is when I usually am at my best. So it's a privilege to be here this morning and speaking with you guys, and I hope we have some really nice conversation here.
That's the plan, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Matt?
My name's Matthew Bradley, or Matt. Been on the board since 2023. Came in as an alternate, and was elected to my first term late last year, or it was this spring, I think. And been driving trucks for almost 14 years. Company driver right now, currently hauling refrigerated products, and I'm from Benton Harbor, Michigan. Also outside of OOIDA, I'm on the local school board there in Benton Harbor, currently serving as treasurer, and I've been doing that for 5 non-consecutive years. I have a passion for public education and also trucking, and try to balance it both. And so I'm blessed to be here on the board and to lend my voice to other truckers as well.
Yeah, we're thankful to have all three of you here for
Yeah,
starters.
very grateful. We're curious, we've been, of course, talking about the how things are going, and it doesn't seem like from our perspective they're going well, but I am curious from your guys' perspective, what are things like out there nowadays?
Well,
it
there's
tough-
not a
tough
better
going?
country. There's not a better country in the world to live in. So it's a little bit of perspective. I didn't have to get up this morning and go to war. So I'm thankful for that. I have my health, which is a huge blessing. So as a truck driver, if we can take a little bit of perspective and recognize that our bodies are our tools that allow us to enjoy this career that we've chosen, we need a little bit of perspective to recognize there's never been a greater time to be alive than today. So with that little bit of goodness, I think that we need to focus on the happiness that we can have in trucking and recognize that hard times are part of this industry. No one got into this because it's easy.
Yeah.
And, I just want to lead with that it might be a little bit harder now than it was a year ago, but it's still pretty dang good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What hardships are you guys seeing out there? Are you dealing with anything? We hear obviously rates are not great right now. Overcapacity. We've got a number of issues right there. Are you guys dealing with anything on a personal level, on an everyday basis? Mike, you're nodding your head there.
Certainly, overcapacity I think is huge, just in terms of the stress, the congestion on the road. That goes hand in hand with truck parking or the lack thereof, as it may be, and then just the overall congestion, and of course that also affects rates because it's supply and demand that, for various reasons, trucking doesn't seem like it thinks it doesn't apply to them in many cases, but no, it absolutely does, and we have a oversupply of trucks right now. So
Yeah.
it is a hardship.
Yeah.
And
But I'm also blessed and honored, to be where I'm at in trucking, and also to be here at OOIDA. So
Yeah.
you take the ups and downs every day.
Sure. Matthew.
I was just, going to add on to what my other fellow drivers have been saying as well. Is it's a blessing and it's an honor to be out here. I've met people who have, started out as leasing drivers, and then they went and got a truck, and it just became overwhelming. I've had conversations with a close friend, and they were stressed to the point where they just started crying because they were having issues one after another, dealing with the truck. And then I think some of the other issues you have out here is we come out here, as truckers, but now I'm starting to see a lot of individualism and not a lot of teamwork or family thing. There's still that family element, but not as strong as it used to be. Nowadays people rather make content for social media than to get out the truck and just take the extra time to help somebody. And it's like, come on, we're out here to solve problems together. Yeah, we're going to laugh and talk about it. I'm going to go buy you something to drink, afterwards, and we're going to sit down and, laugh about it. But, that teamwork element is kind of on the downward slide.
Yeah. This is the beauty of live, and I'll put that in air quotes, live radio. Tilden Curl just walked in the room.
Thank you for joining
Board
us.
member Tilden. Thanks
Sorry,
for joining us.
Appreciate you coming in.
No, better late than never, for sure. We're just having a chat about the situation out there right now, and obviously we're on year 3 going on 40 of this freight recession, which is hitting certain people obviously harder than others. Tilden, you've been around for a little while. You've been trucking for how many years now?
A little over 30.
A little over 30. So it's been a while. Mike was just talking about the cyclical nature of the trucking industry, ups and downs. We go through this all the time. We see it all the time. Does this one feel a little different to you in any way?
Yeah, it does. I've been independent for over 30 years and been kind of watching the trucking industry for about 35 years. And, as you said, it's cyclical and you expect that. And so, and it can go with the time of year and it can also go with the flow of the economy. So, in a good economy in the summertime, I pull flatbed. So most of my freight is related to construction type. So with that being said, summertime, it usually picks up, and then wintertime, of course, it falls off when the construction projects kind of start dwindling down. And then there's the economic recession that goes along with it. Like in 2008, things were really tough for a while. And incidentally, that was a year I just decided to buy a new truck. And so it really hit me hard then. And so along with that, we start coming out of it in different ways. And we have a few years of good freight in the middle. And then you expect, there's always ebbs and flows to the freight market. And so we're at a point right now that things have tightened up. The economy is tight. As far as independents and people working off the load boards and through brokers and stuff, they're taking a real hit right now because of the overcapacity in the market. And because of that overcapacity, things are going to have to come around to the point that this capacity is going to have to tighten up before the economy will start coming back for us drivers. And so I think, as we go into this, as soon as we see the economy start picking up, we'll be the first ones to see that out our windshields.
Yeah.
Tilden, I'm a little bit younger than you, and so is Matthew, but does this have any similarities to what 2008 brought? I mean, I was a lot younger then, and the impacts of a major recession like that didn't hit me the way they could hit me now as a grown up, if you will.
Right.
So just as a 30-year veteran that's went through '08, I think you bought a truck with the first tier, the first emissions round, which
I did.
You were a good example of what not to do.
Exactly. Actually, the price of government intervention in trucking.
Yes, an emissions tax that's got a expiration on it. So
yes.
Tell us, is there similarities? Should we be more concerned than we are to '08 and what we have today?
Well, the similarities are that it hits the people that are leased on to companies. They're the people that are brought in when freight is plentiful. They bring in all these lease operators. You have your truck payments and everything. You lease on with a company, and they run you. But a company, when things get lean like this, a company will lay off their private contractors or owner operators, however you want to put it. And so in that respect, this is the same as '08, because as freight tightens up, there's a segment of our trucking industry that only operates on the ebbs and flows of the economy in trucking. This one is different in the respect that it has lasted as long as it has. Typically, a recession like this will go through maybe a year, and then things will start picking up. But we're going into looking at possibly, if you really want to get back to the beginning of it, probably 3 years.
That's right. When COVID, after truckers were heroes.
Yeah.
And then overnight we were back to being, don't park on our street, get out of here.
Exactly. We went from hero to zero there real quickly, because during COVID, I mean, there was demand. We were doing good because we were considered essential workers, and we could continue to supply the nation. But once everybody stocked up, then they didn't need more stock. So, of course, the capacity was reduced. I mean, was overcapacity then.
And we had how many new registrants, even just within OOIDA, applying for a DOT number?
Right.
Went from 40,000 a year to 80,000, doubled or tripled.
Right.
Because everybody was trying to chase the quick dollar.
Everybody wanted a piece of the apple.
Yeah. And I think another thing that contributed to that was social media. You know, you get people that would jump online that did not have any trucking experience or very limited trucking experience and say, oh, I can make $100,000 in my first month of trucking, or, however long it was. And then you end up getting people that were buying trucks that did not have any trucking experience. Then when they would buy those trucks, they're hired drivers that had good experience, and then they would literally screw them over by not, paying them the right thing, not maintaining the truck. So that's another thing that's contributing to a lot what's going on now too.
So we still have all of those trucks out here. I assume they're still out here today. Everybody that got in 3 years ago contributing to this, running for under $2 a mile.
That's interesting, Matthew, because you've brought it up, I think, twice now, the social media aspect of this. And Mike and Tilden, when you first started out, 30 plus years ago, social media wasn't a thing.
No.
You guys weren't on TikTok back then?
No.
CBs were a thing back then.
Exactly.
Yes.
The internet was barely a thing, 30, 35 years ago, if I'm doing my math right. I'm just curious, Mike, from your perspective, the social media aspect of this, and the thing that you were talking about, Matthew, I think is an important thing to maybe kind of latch onto and explore a little bit, because this is a whole new world out there, and there is so much bad information, as you pointed out, with a lot of these social media posts that go out there, and a lot of just incorrect information about what's really going on out there. This has been a new thing that has come up, in the past 15 years. Mike, where you stand from where you began and where things go now, do you think social media is having some sort of impact on trucking in maybe a negative way, kind of like what Matthew's talking about?
Well, I think, it's like most things, you got to take the good with the bad. So there is some definite negatives as far as people's yearning for the spotlight, if you will, and maybe doing more social media influencing instead of, being truckers.
Yeah.
And I think something that, interestingly enough, the internet's supposed to get everybody connected. But today I feel more detached and atomized than ever before. And there's, three things our industry is lacking right now, and that's culture, camaraderie, and cohesion. And I think those three things are inextricable to safety.
Say those three again.
Culture, cohesion, and camaraderie.
Yeah.
And those are lacking in our business. They've been on a downward trend for over 20 years.
It feels like it's lacking not just in trucking, but in
Everywhere.
society.
In everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Which is why it causes me a lot of consternation, because if it was just trucking, I would feel like, maybe this problem is more solvable than it is. But since it's across every facet of society and the workscape, it feels like maybe this is a bigger problem, and something that obviously we want to look at as far as in terms of affecting our members in the trucking industry, but that maybe society at large has to look at.
So let's solve it. We got 6 people in here. We can solve
Can do
it.
it.
And I would add on to what you were saying. Like you said, you take the good and the bad with social media. I came into trucking in early 2012, and social media was, just kind of starting to gain traction. And I think in the first few years of trucking, they were truck driving Facebook groups. Met a lot of friends from around the country, developed close friendships. And so some of my closest friends are truck drivers that don't even live in my hometown. But if I have an issue and I know I'm in their area, they'll call and say, hey, where are you at? Or now, that's how we stay connected. So there's one
That's
thing.
good.
So that's how one way you can build cohesion. But like you said, in the last 20 years, it's just been a downward slope. I can go back to being at the truck stop at the sit-down restaurants. You can go in, they were still around for a few years when I started driving. You can go in, you can hear sob stories, you can hear, craziness, but you can hear some good wisdom from a lot of the drivers in there. And I miss that connection of community.
Yeah, to add on to that, Matthew, that was going down the road that I was sitting here thinking, in the early days, you would go in at the end of your day, you would sit down in the truck stop. Flying J had their flat iron steak for $9.99. You'd go in there and sit down and have a sit-down meal in the restaurant at the truck stop. And there would be all these other drivers out there. And you'd get education from just listening to them talk about the things that they went through day after day after day. The heavy haulers going downhill, how you have to gear down, and back then the Jake brakes didn't work very well. So, you really had to be conscientious of what you're doing to not overheat your brakes and that sort of thing. So you got your education not only on the road, but in the truck stops. And you had that common connection where you got to make that connection with your fellow drivers out there. And today that's been replaced by trucks with microwaves and refrigerators in them and social media. So now if you get together, you're told what to think based on the social media input that you get, rather than hearing the diversity of comments about situations in the truck stop itself.
And we had, and you say that now about the new trucks coming along with that. I was in one of my group chats with some of my social media truck driver friends, and so one of the drivers brought up, well, if they don't offer a microwave or a refrigerator, I don't want to go. And everybody's like, look, you're not going over there for that. You're going over there to make money.
Right. Yeah.
Buy a microwave, I guess.
Like you just go anywhere and buy one.
Right. What do you mean there's no jacuzzi?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I'm curious, Matthew, talking about social media and being on there, you see a lot of like trucking influencers, and they make it look very glamorous. I could see there being some good in that, in a sense of showing people, opening up to see, like, what does a truck driver actually do? Have you found that as far as it allows people to kind of maybe understand the job a little bit better?
I will say from my personal experience, I think it was about 2011, and I was looking at going into truck driving. I had always been infatuated with going into driving either school buses, but trucking wasn't on my radar. So around 2011, that was just the start. There was a few YouTube videos, and what they did was I would sit there and I won't suggest nobody does this at their job, but between tasks, I would sit there and I would watch the YouTube videos and I would see him in the different areas, and I'm like, oh, I want to do that. So those influencers that are actually out here telling the information, telling it how it really is. I just ran into a YouTube content creator, and she has stopped me. Works for the same company I work for, and she said, "Hey, you want to do a YouTube interview?" And I'm like, okay, I guess. And so I'm on YouTube, I guess, doing that interview, and she said, I got tired of watching people post things and not having factual information. And so that irritates me a lot, because you see that all the time. Oh, in this, no, just tell it how it really is. You'll get a lot more people. Tell useful information. Don't make clickbait. Don't try to sell a dream, but tell people how it really is out here, because you get those people that will come into trucking and
have
then
no idea what it's really like.
And then as soon as they get out here, 2 months later, 3 months later, say, oh, it's not for me. Oh, I wanted to go home. No, just tell it how it is. It's going to be some tough days. You're going to miss things at home. You're going to miss family. You're going to miss, X, Y, and Z. So, yeah.
That's exactly when I was reading my bio today on our website, and in there it talks about
something you do often, Harry.
I love it.
To remind yourself who you. Wait, hey, hang on.
One of my core issues I haven't thought about in a year or two is we talk about the myth of truck driver shortage. And it's really exactly what you just touched on, where you have that new guy that's coming in that's seen the reality TV version of trucking, not the making of the production of trucking TV series.
Yeah.
And that new guy starts here with dreams and ambitions and hopes and loves the industry and wants to be at the truck stop talking to that old guy about how to time his trip correctly so he can hit every port of entry when it's not busy. And then in 3 months, he's left broke, destitute, abandoning the truck, cursing this industry, and walking away from it. We lose a good. Imagine your story. There's a unique. Matthew, you have a super unique role here. I was born into trucking. Mike, were you born into trucking? Like, I literally don't know anything besides trucking. Like, my dad raised me in a truck.
Yes, I'm a second generation.
Tilden, I mean, for you?
No, this is a second occupation for me. My first occupation was oil field. And I spent, some 15 years or so in the oil field. And after I got out, because I had small kids and I needed to be at home more with my family. And so I started doing local work, driving a truck. And that's how I got into trucking. I got my CDL from the city of Olympia on their emergency hire program for their garbage trucks. And that's where I got my CDL. And after that 6-month program was over, here I was jobless again. So I used my CDL and started driving truck then.
And you come from a different time.
Completely.
When a city could take a risk on a young person like you that had aptitude and gave you a career opportunity. What I was saying is so unique about Matt is imagine your experience doesn't go well when you hire on into trucking in 2012. Imagine you do get hooked into one of those predatory contracts from a leasing company, and we don't have you at this table here today because 3 months into it, you leave this industry and it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. So it's really amazing that you were able to make those right decisions. And we're definitely going to give credit to the man upstairs.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because there's countless people that are like you, like me, that don't make it through that first whatever month.
Because they're thrown into the fire.
They're thrown into the fire and they're recycled, and they're the cheapest driver that can be hired, and they keep them for as long as they can take advantage of them. And
And I
so,
would
so it's so unique.
Happens to
Your
too many
story,
people.
Yeah.
So many people.
your story is amazing.
Thank
and
you.
and because, like I said, I kind of have a cheat code. I had my dad pushing me along in trucking, and you found this, and you're here at OIDA today. It's amazing, and
appreciate
that's
it.
really cool.
And I would say this real quick, thank you for that. But hey, that first year, well, those first 2 years, it was tough, but you learn the ropes. And I started at a company that they said, hey, you work a certain amount of time for us, we'll pay for your CDL. That was the goal. Got my certificate of completion, and here we are 14 years later.
That's awesome.
One of the biggest things I think that is different today is, and maybe it's not so different, I don't know, but the drivers get into the business without knowing the business of trucking. And I say that a lot to people considering buying a truck. And if you start out working for a company as a company driver, you get to know trucking in that respect, but you don't have to worry about the money coming in or paying for repairs and such as that. And then somebody comes along and tells you, hey, man, you can make $5,000 a week if you'll just buy a truck. And they'll go out and buy a $15,000 truck. And 2 weeks down the road, it's on the side of the road. You're looking at a $1,000 tow bill and a $5,000 repair bill. And they don't have the money to back that up. And so it's important that people understand the business of trucking in each and every aspect that you go through, from, starting out as a company driver, and then eventually maybe buying your own truck. And then from there, taking the big step and go out, get your own authority and do the whole business yourself. But if you don't understand the business of trucking, you're already out before you even get in.
Yeah. We are speaking with Matthew Bradley, Mike Nichols, Tilden Curl, and Harry Smith, OOIDA board members, about a number of topics here. Just a conversation about the industry and where things stand, and kind of some perspectives here. Harry, I want to go back to the buzzword you said earlier. You said it. We should have set off some alarm bells
Getting
or something.
myself in trouble
when you
again,
said
am
no. You said you talked about the driver shortage, the driver shortage myth, and that narrative that we see continue to get churned up. That said, I feel, and I'm curious all your perspectives here, but I have felt in the past couple years that there's been a shift. It seems like more and more people are realizing that there is no driver shortage. This is a retention issue. Exactly what you guys are talking about, that this industry, too many people are churning people out and looking at them as, expendable commodities or what have you.
Lowest common denominator.
Yes, we're seeing a lot of that, obviously, for, that's no news to anybody here. But the driver shortage narrative, Mike, we can start with you. Do you feel like we're seeing that kind of slip away here a little bit? I feel it shifting. Do you feel
you're seeing some of the, proponents of the driver shortage narrative myth. You're seeing them start to backtrack. I think recently ATA pretty much dropped it entirely
very
from their
quietly. Yeah, they're
from
trying
their
to
platform.
quietly back away from it. Yeah.
Unfortunately, though, I don't know if that's equating to differences in how we view truckers, truck drivers, owner operators, the market in general. I still think that it's the lowest common denominator seems to be the mindset. And, whether or not there really does come down to be a noticeable difference in capacity, I guess remains to be seen. But, you can't have overcapacity and then also claim a driver shortage at the same time.
Yeah.
And, even I think the ATA made some remarks recently that, we're lacking, quality drivers, or we're lacking, this or that. I don't know. I feel, though, a lot more needs to be done to put that finally to bed. I still think you have some politicians and some regulators that operate under the guise of, there must be a shortage because people don't want to do I still see people quoted in media very, Americans don't want to do this job, or, sure they do.
Yeah.
Pay them enough and they'll definitely do it,
And treat them right.
And treat them right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so, I think a lot more needs to be done on that. But at least people are starting to have that conversation with some sincerity now,
Yeah.
more so than they have in
positive
years
thing.
past. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
How about you guys? You feel like we're maybe nearing a turning point for this driver
What is
shortage?
it? What is it turning into? It's going away from, oh, there's a truck driver shortage to, oh, there's another crashed truck from someone that doesn't
Right.
know what they're doing, because anyone can get into an automatic with mirror sensors and drive down the road. So we're taking one problem and replacing it. I'm just asking, like, you guys, what's the problem we're replacing it with?
That's a good question. It's something that we don't really think about. And I know with that YouTube interview, you, I touched on it a few weeks ago. There's no driver shortage. It's how we're treating drivers, how are we training drivers. You get some companies that you bring new people out here and they treat drivers like crap. Oh, well, you can't go home. Well, you didn't request time off enough. It's like, wait a minute now. Then there's, like you said, the new problem now. Okay, now we got to demonize somebody now. And it's like, all right, but how were you trained? Was it a family member that trained you, somebody else that trained you? But, now I'm starting to see a lot out here now. I'm starting to see a lot of people actually go get proper training. But is that enough? Is there going to add fire to that problem? So that's another thing to look at.
Yeah. It's one of these things too that again, we've talked about the dangers of perpetuating this driver shortage myth. And I think it's safe to say that ATA has kept it alive as long as they can, because it serves to their benefit in a number of ways. And, these technologies that they're trying to put out there, and under 21 drivers, the list goes on and on. But again, it dovetails into a bunch of other issues that are kind of affecting the industry, as you point out there, Matthew. And I'm wondering this week, and we're recording this on day one of the board meetings. So you guys are going to be going through meetings over the next few days and having these discussions. But the issues that are out there right now that OOIDA is sort of tackling and addressing, and we'll just go around the table here. What's like at the top of the list for you as kind of a priority you think that the association should be focusing on, or an issue that you feel the association, has been doing a good job of addressing and should continue down that road? What's kind of at front of mind for you guys in terms of the most important issue, I suppose? We'll put Tilden on the spot.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I think the idea that there is one particular cause that's most important is a bit of a misconception, because we have the issues with non-domicile CDLs. We have the issue of the English proficiency. And then we also have the issues of countering the narratives that's out there about the truck driver shortage. And then we also have the issue with the H-1B visas, where other drivers come in from other countries to compete in our market. And our economy is based on supply and demand. So for drivers, if the supply of drivers gets low, the demand goes up. So when the demand goes up, you make more money. But you bring people in from other countries, so you affect the supply, and thereby you reduce the demand, and it has kept us from growing financially in a meaningful way over the years. And so I think all of these things share an equal importance in the industry.
And you left out truck parking, emissions.
I didn't even get that.
I mean, there's a lot of other issues that affect you every day that you didn't even bring up, and those are 4 major topics that you hit. If I can hijack the microphone,
sure.
English proficiency, huge. Non-domiciled CDLs, probably the biggest issue. I mean, what's second? I mean, if I'm wrong, tell me. But non-domiciled CDLs is a major source.
It's a big deal.
It's a major pathway for me to be replaced by someone that doesn't care about this country.
That's right.
And sends every penny outside of this country back home. I mean, everybody's got to eat, but that's not what built this country and got us here today. So when you talk about the financial repercussions of H-1B visas happening, those H-1B visa drivers, they don't have a home in San Antonio where they're paying property tax and sending kids to school. That money is going to their home country, and the second that they aren't needed here or that they can leave, they're gone. So other issues that, in trucking that we want to cover, parking, the demand to have a new truck all the time because the new trucks don't last like the old trucks that used to.
Man.
Like, your hard lessons learned in 2008.
Yes.
And
Yeah. But that's the thing that, you talk about non-domiciled CDLs. We've seen so much action on this in the past, 4 months, 5 months, whatever it's been, faster than anything that I can remember in a long time in terms of actually looking at the issue and addressing the issue and taking action on the issue. We've got a number of bills actually out there dedicated to it. But have you been encouraged by what you've seen in terms of the action on this issue? Because obviously it's something that matters. Mike, is it something that matters to you as well?
Well, my number one issue in creating my platform when I ran for the alternate board member position here at OOIDA, my number one issue is foreign owned and operated carriers, drivers. I think we could add brokerages to that list. And it always has been, and it still is. I think that is a existential threat to American trucking, to the trucking industry, being a place where, you can have a good job, raise a family, buy a house, take a vacation, send your kids to college maybe. All of those things I think are in jeopardy because we are looking for the dollar, the cheapest way to move those goods. And, there really isn't any reason for such a thing as a non-domiciled CDL or an H1 or H2B visa or whatever they're using.
The thing that we should also talk about here is that the people who are in these situations, in a lot of cases, are also being taken advantage of.
Absolutely.
And you're looking for a bad guy.
They're literally being forced to live in their hotshot pickup truck. It's inhumane, and it's
it is.
So you have these guys show up. I ship stuff every now and then, and I just my option is to hire this guy that can do it for me, or go back to a customer and literally ask for 4 times the money to get one of our company trucks to carry it. And at that point, I lose the business. I can't do it. I can't help them. Or I'm faced of having to do what the market has forced me to do and hiring this hotshot that has the scotch taped door logo on, and I let the customer drive that decision. Like, hey, here's your pricing options. Send it on Scotch Tape Express, and you just, the guys are living in their trucks. You get to talking to them. Their dispatcher lives in Mongolia, and this driver's from Kazakhstan, and you can tell they're living in the super cab. I'm a Ford guy, so they live in a super cab. And I bring up the hot shots because the hot shots now are hauling 26,000 pounds.
Yeah.
It's not 6,000 pounds loads like it was 10, 15 years ago. They're hauling 26,000 pounds. So I bring up the hot shot guy, and you can tell they're living in their truck, and it's just like, my goodness, what have we come to as a country that this is how we move freight around.
And we're accepting it.
Yeah.
And I'm engaging. I'm guilty of it because the market has forced me into that. I mean, I could say no and turn the business away, but I have an army of people that I need to help perpetuate our business, and so it's just an impossible position to be put in.
Yeah, Matthew, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say real quick too, and it's a safety issue too. Whether it be the hot shot trucks or the semi trucks, you get people that get this half equipment that's not even up to standard, and I already know. At my company, my safety director, she is very strict and she expects excellence. But then I see these other trucks that are being held together by duct tape and zip ties, and
So their safety standards not very high, Matthew?
Right,
is that what you're saying?
Definitely.
You can tell the truck's literally never been to a truck wash.
Right. It's never, and there's pieces holding on the steps. It's like come on, guys. And so I think that's one issue too, is, a safety thing. I'm concerned about people. It's like, come on, you go down the highway, brakes are failing. Yeah. So it's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike, you said something, and I wanted to circle back to it because you mentioned the non-domiciled CDLs. I think you said and I'm paraphrasing, but they shouldn't really even be a thing. And they were first introduced as a kind of convenience factor, right?
Right.
They're
for someone to get a CDL in a
Right.
state that they didn't reside in, but I don't believe
I believe originally it was in case a state lost their accreditation. Like, say I'm in Utah and my Utah DMV loses their ability to issue
Yeah.
CDLs or their ability to have CDLs, I could go to Wyoming and get my CDL there because they're still up to the standard. I think that's what it's rooted in.
Right.
That's what the non-domiciled CDL was rooted in.
Yeah. So I mean, is there a conversation to be had about, why do we even have them? Period. Because I know the association, is talking about the Rouser bill and codifying what the Trump administration has been doing on this issue. And I've seen that argument too, that question out there as to whether, this should even be a thing, period,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In my view, it is the number one issue. Close second with infrastructure. We have a very declining infrastructure, I see, and then of course emissions.
Yeah.
I don't think that we're done seeing that rear its ugly head, unfortunately. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, that's the number one issue is why. And it goes along with the trucker shortage, narrative or myth. Why are we using foreign labor to do these jobs when, our own market, if it were allowed to organically ebb and flow without this pressure on capacity, it would iron itself out. I mean, you would have plenty of people willing to do that job if they were paid right and treated right.
We've only got a few minutes left. I did want to go around the table just one more time here. We've been raising a bunch of challenges and difficulties, and there are certainly those in the industry. But as I think all of you have pointed out in your own ways, this is a great industry. It's full of great people who are doing, great things. There are people struggling out there. I'm wondering if you might just give a few bits of advice to folks out there who are listening, who maybe have been going through a tough time. You all are successful in your own ways, in your own businesses. What would you say to that man or woman at the truck stop who you overhear at the Iron Skillet, kind of talking about,
Are you sponsored by the Iron Skillet or something?
Yeah.
Open them back up 24 hours.
What would you say to them though? Tilden, maybe we can start with you since you've, been doing this for a while.
Well, I don't really know where to start. There's so many things. When you look at the challenges of getting into the business, and you look at them as a combined mass of issues or problems, if you will, challenges that you have to solve. One of the things I learned early on is pulling from the old expression, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And so when you start getting into the business and you start to realize these things are problems or challenges, then you solve that. And sometimes others will go away. But if you try to solve everything all at once, you're going to drive yourself crazy and you're going to get nothing done. So you start with the most pressing challenges you have, solve that. And whatever plays into that, sometimes you have to solve other problems surrounding that, and it'll correct itself. But I think all in all, that would be my recommendation: is just one bite at a time. Just fix a problem as it comes up. Deal with the problem. Don't put a Band-Aid on it. Fix it. If you don't know something, learn it. Yeah,
it's overwhelming. Gentlemen, advice?
I would say stay grounded in your faith, stay encouraged, seek wisdom. Just like Tilden said, ask a question, keep an open mind, be ready to learn. Take it one day at a time. As the Bible says, sufficient for the day is its own trouble. Let tomorrow worry about tomorrow, but focus on what you can solve today and stay safe.
Mike and Harry, can you top that?
I really can't. I think I can only echo that. One of the things that I've done, throughout my trekking career is always listen to guys that know more than I do, and there's plenty of them. And even today, I still meet them, and I'm still very receptive to any of the wisdom that they can impart. And there's a lot of them. So, I think that's the biggest thing you can do. And yeah,
great advice.
Yeah.
Matt, if you're not careful, you're going to end up as the chaplain of OOIDA, all right? There's a theme around this table, and that's finding a mentor. And that's one of the best things. I love to refer to my dad as a cheat code because he has learned so many hard lessons for me. And we have a fellow board member, Monty Wiederhold. His dad just passed away. And I found Monty this morning and I said, hey, we're missing a seat at this table. He always brings his dad to the board meetings and he used to serve on the board. So it gives me a little bit of an insight to really enjoying having my dad here. My dad wasn't afforded that luxury. Ralph Smith, my grandpa, passed away when my dad, Doug, was 25 years old. So I enjoy having my dad here every day. He's my mentor. Everyone should have a mentor. You've got to step out of your comfort zone. I mean, it's really uncomfortable to admit you're doing something wrong or face that reality of like, I'm not as smart as I think I am. I'm not as good as I think I am. And you have to step out of that comfort zone and open up yourself to that mentor of, hey, I think I need help here. I can recognize how, let's just use any board member that we have an OOIDA. If every person in the membership had a question, they can look up one of those board members, they can call them, and how thrilled would that board member be that a newer person in the industry or a 10-year veteran of the industry called a board member and said, hey, here is my situation. What can I do? Every board member would be thrilled to help and be that mentor. So my biggest advice or my biggest high spot is have a mentor, find a mentor, and that is going to be your biggest advantage. My dad is my cheat code, and I have other mentors. That I have a heavy haul friend in Las Vegas that I rely on all too often. But my goodness, does he make a 10-hour problem about 5 minutes. It's amazing what a good mentor can do. So find that mentor, and you have to step out of your comfort zone to find that mentor. I had to step out of my comfort zone to open up myself and be vulnerable and say, hey, I really respect you. I want your help. Will you please be there for me and help me? And trucking is never going to be easy. Every day is a challenge. Every day. But you got to just try and find 15 minutes of joy in that day, and that makes it worth it. And as my mother says, if you're going to be in trucking, you've got to be relentless, because there's always somebody that wants your job right the second you're not there to do it. So be relentless.
A lot of wisdom, a lot of mentors in the building, great advice. Great advice and wisdom in this room. So we appreciate all four of you taking the time to speak with us. We know you got to get away and do some other stuff, but we appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for listening. Today's episode of Trucking with OOIDA was brought to you by a dedicated team of people. That includes Jim Fetzer, Tennille Flick, and Kim Boren.
You can listen to new episodes and extended interviews on your favorite podcast platform and on the OOIDA YouTube page. Please subscribe while you're there. If you've got thoughts, we'd love to hear them. Call us at 1-800-324-6856 and leave a message, or send us an email to podcast@ooida.com, and we might include it on the show.